David, good to see you. Obviously, you've just been in Cairns and obviously had some time with Mark Breakoff, the CEO there of the Cairns Taipans, and you did a bit of research and a bit of homework. What can you tell from that?
Yeah, well, I managed to get to the Cairns opening game for the season, which was fantastic, and spent a day or half a day in the Cairns offices with Mark and his staff there, and learned a heap about what it is, I think, to be NBL ready. Cairns Taipans has got a great product on the floor in a great little stadium, but you know what? I don't think the charges are, too many steps beneath that in terms of what we produced and put on the court during 2017. Certainly the Cairns Taipans budget, which is in the sort of $3 million mark, is a significant step up from a Seaball club budget. But I think a city the size of Cairns, with a population that's significantly less than Hobart's, in fact, we can see a sustainable NBL club in Tasmania.
The ownership side of things, and how all the clubs, bar Cairns, are proprietary limited owned, and Cairns is the only non-profit organisation going round. So what's your aim as far as the ownership?
Look, it's pretty clear that the NBL, to put a really strong bid to the NBL, there are three things we need to think about. That is timing. And the NBL have indicated, maybe in 2 years' time they're ready for some expansion, and that would suit our timeline. Infrastructure, and therefore working with the government and others to invest in more basketball courts in Tasmania. We've got a great stadium in the deck, so we're a step ahead there in a way. And then thirdly, the ownership structure. And really what the NBL want are privately owned companies owning NBL licences, not-for-profits, incorporated associations with 350 members. What they really want is an owner or owners with pretty deep pockets to ride out the highs and lows of an NBL licence ownership. I think that's achievable in Tasmania, and I think there's probably half a dozen people, with deep enough pockets. But it's, I think the work we have to do over 2018 and over the coming months is setting up a structure so you can raise that sort of capital and raise, entice the sort of potential deep-pocketed owner that we want.
So would you look at someone locally, someone interstate, or, we talked about this some time ago, potential Chinese investors?
Well, look, there's probably about half a dozen people in Tasmania, let's face it, that have got deep enough pockets and maybe an interest. There's, I suspect, though, probably another dozen in mainland Australia who want to own an NBL club, and obviously in their home city that might be a bit more difficult. So I think if we put our best foot forward and we're able to create a vehicle that could attract such an owner and then get out and market that to the sorts of people that might want to be involved, I think that's the way we need to go. At the same time, of course, we need to still keep building a great SEABL club, and apart from our NBL aspirations, we should have an aspiration, and a worthy one at that, to make the Hobart Chargers the strongest club in the SEABL for the next decade to come. We made a very good start on that over the last year and this season, and we're putting in some new things like a high-performance coach, hopefully more investment into our local players to build those, their opportunities this year as well for 2018. I think we can, at this time next year, stand here, I suspect, and say we are the strongest SEABL club in Australia, and we've got a bright future.
You talk about the off-season movements there slightly. We brought in Mark Nash as a high-performance coach. Any other off-season movements going on at this stage?
Well, look, I think it's great to have Mark on board. Already he's having an impact in the basketball department, working with our two head coaches, Stewie and Dwayne, working with Corey Davey on a recruitment strategy. The other thing that I've been talking to Mark about, and we'll look forward to making more announcements, is creating real pathways for our local players and investing up front in our local players pre-season to give them the absolute best opportunity to have significant court time during the 2018 season. That's what I want to see. We're of course going to bring in high profile and imports, and those conversations are going on already. And of course, I think all Tasmanians who love the Hobart Chargers, both men and women team, want to see what I'd call sort of franchise marquee players back, like Mathang and like Kathleen, of course.
So Coach Stewart and Coach Davey are expected to make some announcements very soon in the future then?
Well, look, I won't preempt or rush them because what we ultimately have to do is get into negotiations with players. But I think the process is going really well. I think Mark Nash's additional sort of basketball knowledge and connections will really add to that. I've certainly seen some highlight reels going around of potential players for both men and women. But I think it's really important that we anchor the clubs in with familiar faces, and particularly those players that the crowds love. And certainly Mathang and Kathleen are two such players.
The AGM coming up next month. We expect all our members to get out there, so might as well give this a shout out here, David.
Yeah, sure, mate. Look, it's more than just an annual general meeting. I want to make it a sort of end of season thank you function. We always want to thank our sponsors, thank anyone, our volunteers, anyone who's contributed to the Chargers this year, and we'll be outlining some plans for next year as well, and maybe announcing some new sponsors there as well that are waiting in the wings. So I'm pretty excited about that. Yep, there's the business of the AGM, elect a board, have your say as a member if you're a paid up member, but also if you're just connected with the club and want to come along and share in our success of this year and our plans for next year, it'd be great to come along, and no doubt you'll put the date and venue on the screen, Ronald.
Sure will. We'll put that in the overlay. For you, where to next? With any more NBL clubs that you might be visiting?
Yeah, so I've made contact with Vince Crivelli at Melbourne United as well, and he's invited me to go and spend a bit of time as work experience boy in the Melbourne United organisation. So that'll be happening over the next few weeks. And in lots of ways, you know, those two clubs, Cairns, you know, at the probably smaller city, obviously smaller budget end, and then Melbourne United at much more the bigger city and significant budget end. It'll give me a good picture of what the sort of two outliers are for a potential NBL bid. I don't want ever to make an NBL bid that doesn't result in a team being competitive. If we're going to go into the NBL, we don't want to be cellar dwellers. We want to be finishing in the finals in the first couple of years, and I think challenging for a national title in the first three. That's what our aspirations should be. So learning from both the biggest and the best, and also the smaller city clubs, is important.
David, some really good developments happening both on and off the court. Good to speak with you, and thanks for your time.
It's very exciting, I think, basketball in Tasmania at the moment, and Chargers TV, as always, doing a great job supporting, getting the message out there. So thanks very much to Chargers TV.